I'm making you a yoga video. Shouldn't be too long, should be relatively easy. Accommodate it, of course, to however you need to, and we'll see how it goes. So, the first thing you're gonna do is when you get down on your mat, you're gonna sit on your knees. It's just the starting pose. And what we're gonna start with is child's pose. So for this one, you're just gonna slowly reach as far down as you can till your forehead's pretty much at the mat, if that makes sense. While you're down there, what you're gonna do is take 5 deep breaths, in through your nose, out through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or however long it takes you. Then you're gonna crawl your hands to the left side of the mat so you get a stretch on the other side of your abdomen. Keep doing your deep breathing while you're at it. After a few deep breaths, we're going to crawl our hands over to the right side of the mat and do the same thing. Okay, back to center. When you're feeling good, a little bit stretched out, what you're gonna do then is raise up to your hands and knees. So your hands should be about below your shoulders, shoulder width apart, and your knees should be about below your hips. I don't know if you can tell from this video, kind of like that. You can see, you'll figure it out. And you can just kind of gently sway back and forth, getting the feel for where you're at and you're stretching. Then what we're gonna do is alternate between cat and cow. So what that means is when you breathe in, you're gonna raise your belly button towards the ceiling and tuck your chin into your body. So your back is gonna arch up like a cat while you breathe in, and everything's gonna go up. And then when you exhale and release, you're gonna do the opposite. You're gonna push your belly button towards the floor of your yoga mat, and you're gonna look up towards the ceiling. So we'll give it a try. We're gonna try for about 5 of them. So we'll breathe in. And exhale on your way up. Inhale. Exhale. Good. You can do that however many times you want to. Once you're feeling kind of good, you're gonna walk your hands up to the front of your mat and rise up to your toes on the back. We're gonna slip into downward dog. So we'll raise up and start leaning your weight back towards your heels. Be careful of the stretch. You can feel it starting in your calves. Feel free to kind of alternate which legs are getting the most pressure to stretch out those calves. As well as I like to go up on my tiptoes, get a nice stretch. This is just the beginning, so you're just trying to sink into it and push your weight as far back as you can. Have your head down here. Make sense? I think so. So, when you're ready, when you're feeling good with downward dog, you're gonna move your feet towards your hands and shift into a standing position. You can take it nice and slow, because the first thing that you're gonna do while standing is you can keep a slight bend in your knees. They don't have to be all the way straight. You're gonna interlock your arms like this. And just let your body hang. You can keep your knees a little bent, and let yourself just relax. Keep breathing too. While you're gently swaying, After a little bit, you can switch so that the other arm is on top. So I went from that to that, and continue to sway. And I'm just looking at my computer because that's where I wrote your routine. So when you're feeling all loose and limber from that, you can release your arms. Just kind of let them hang freely. You can keep the slight bend in your knees. Then what you're going to try and do, retaining the bend in your knees, is you're going to straighten your back. See how my back is kind of flat right now? That's what you're going for. You can rest your hands on your knees. What you're just trying to do is straighten out that back. And then you can release the back and straighten the legs a little bit. Just alternate however many you feel to feel the stretch and keep breathing. So, when you're feeling ready, what you're gonna do is slowly rise. So, what you're rising into is mountain pose. So you can raise your hands up above your head. Hard to see here, but how you want your hands to be is that your pinkies are gently touching. So, like that, but above your head. And just sink into the stretch. Reach for the stars, but try and keep your core and inner body tight in one spot. You're not trying to like overextend from here. Keep it nice and compact. Just let your arms raise. When you're feeling ready, you can go slightly to one side, really stretching this abdomen here. Go to the other side. Keep breathing and stretching. You can do some mini back bends. You're just gonna lower your arms and pull them back, keeping everything tight. Like that. Raise your arms back up. And when you're ready, you can swoop back down, touch your toes, straighten the back and touch your knees, and go ahead and lower yourself back down to the mat. And what that's gonna look like is your hands are gonna reach first, then you'll slide your feet back. Once you're here, you have a bend in the elbows, keep your toes down, and face up. We are in prairie dog. It's a nice stretch for the abdomen. And you're only gonna stay here for a little bit, and then you're just gonna go back up to the toes and shift backwards into downward dog, letting your weight go to your heels. I just had like all the bones in my ankles crack. It felt good. When you're ready, you can shift forward and you're gonna step up once more. All right, so you stepped up to the front of your mat. You can let your arms hang down to your toes, lift them up to your knees and straighten that back. Let them drop to your toes and then come all the way up, back into mountain. So like I said before, you have your pinkies kind of touching together. You're gonna keep your core, everything in here, as tight as you can. Lean a little to the left. Lean a little to the right. Do a few little back bends. And keep breathing this whole time. I'm not good at talking and breathing at the same time, but don't forget to breathe. When you're feeling good up here, hands back down to your toes, back up to your knees, straighten that back. Let your hands down and head back to the mat. We're moving back down to the mat once more. Hands down, feet back, bend those elbows, and up. Feel the stretch, plant your toes, shift weight back into downward dog. So we just completed 2 run-throughs of the mountain cycle. What we're gonna do next is just a very short version of some lunges just to get your legs stretched out, and then we're gonna call it even. Hopefully that's a good little stretch for you. So, for the lunges, I'm gonna decide to raise my right foot first. So, pick a foot, point your toe, raise it towards the ceiling. as much as you can without it being painful. Then bring that leg down towards your hands. From here, you're going to stand. You want to maintain this bend in your front knee without the knee going over the toes. So you're going to keep it about in line with your heel there. Your back leg, you're going to drop back towards the floor. Don't worry about getting it all the way down to the floor. You just want to be comfortable where you're at and feeling a nice stretch. So we'll feel the stretch for a little bit. Once you think you're in a good position, we're going to do a few pulses. So what that means is you're just going to lower a little bit further down with this leg. You don't have to touch the ground. I'm not going to. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you can straighten your back leg and you're just gonna twist it till it's open. Then what we're gonna sink into here, I don't even know what this is called, warrior maybe? You're just gonna keep that nice bend in your front leg, get a nice stretch going right in here, arms out. You basically wanna be going the same way as a mat. I always think this stretch feels pretty good. Once you're feeling it, you can take your forward arm, send it over your head, so you're stretching this way. Take a few deep breaths while you're here, stretch it out. And then cycle back to the front of your mat. Bend those arms, face up, feel the stretch. Plant the toes, weight back into downward dog. Stay here for a little bit, take a few deep breaths, whatever you gotta do. When you're ready, time for the other leg. So point it as high as you can, then bring it forward up by your hands. Stand from there, keeping that nice bend in your front leg, not too far forward. Drop the other knee back. Just find a place you feel comfortable with. You don't want it to hurt too, well, you don't want it to hurt at all. You don't want it to stretch too much, you know? Once you feel good, we'll do a few little pulses on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Same thing we did on the other side. I'm gonna turn and stretch it out. Lean your arm back. And then bring it around town. Bend the elbows. Face up, feel the stretch. Plant the toes. Weight back, downward dog. And that's that. You know, if you want to, you could do the lunge cycle again. You can do any of the cycles again, and the important thing that it's hard for me to explain while doing it is just to keep breathing and feel a good stretch. Don't feel like you have to do everything. And yeah, I'll have a document that goes with it so you can see what you're doing. But that's that. Happy birthday, Mom.